Word. On the Sunday morning, we're going to look at the book of Matthew, chapter 12, verses 9 to 14. Mateo, capítulo 12, del versículo 9 al 14. Matthew 12, verses 9 to 14. And this Sunday morning, I want to talk to you about the subject, you have to fight for your peace. You have to fight for your peace. Este domingo por la mañana voy a hablar del sujeto, tienes que pelear por tu paz. Tienes que pelear por tu paz. Y en esta escritura de Mateo, versículo 12, versículo 9 al 14, nos encontramos a Jesús que entra a una sinagoga. Y vamos a ver lo que dice la palabra de Dios. Y as we enter the word of God in this Matthew 12, verses 9 to 14 passage, we see Jesus going into the synagogue. And going on from that place, he went into their synagogue. And a man with a shriveled, a withered, a dry hand was there. Looking for a reason to bring charges against Jesus, they asked him, is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath? And he said to them, if any of you has a sheep and it falls out into a pit on the Sabbath, will you not take hold of it and lift it out? How much more valuable is a person than a sheep? Therefore it is lawful to do good on the Sabbath. And then he said to the man, stretch out your hand. So he stretched it out and it was completely restored. Just as sound or just as normal as the other hand. But the Pharisees were not happy and went out and plotted on how they might kill Jesus. We just recently came back from a vacation. And my wife likes to prepare for when we go on vacation. Even a month before we go away, she starts asking us, do you have enough shorts? Do you have enough shirts? Do you have enough socks? Do you have enough underwear? And all of us start gathering what we're going to wear on specific days. And she takes great care to prepare that we have everything. Because even swimming goggles that cost you $3 at the Dollar Tree, when you get to a hotel, now their boutique prices are $30. So you have to prepare for every little thing that could come up. But when she asked me, are you ready? I just go and see if I even have any clean clothes. Well, she's got everybody's clothes lined up. I'm in the back checking the laundry and smelling that my clothes at least smell somewhat clean. My level of preparation to go on vacation is much different than hers. And here we find a situation with Jesus that there's a level of preparation that has been going on, but not to put Jesus on vacation, but to put Jesus on trial. Have you ever been in a situation where you feel that people went out of their way to make your life impossible? That people went out of their way to spread rumors about you? That people went out of their way to talk to human resources about a situation? Have you ever felt that people have gone out of their way? That now people are knocking on your door asking for reports and income statements. And this is what happened with Jesus. He's just entering a synagogue just like any other Saturday. And here there is a plan in place where the Pharisees have gone out. And they have dragged a man with a shriveled hand. The Bible never even gives the man a name, because the Pharisees never treated him as a person. They treated him for his disability. They treated him for his limitation. They treated him for what he was not able to do. And I don't know about you, I find it rude. I find it uncomfortable when I walk into a room and everybody else is talking about me, but yet nobody talks to me. They say, oh, he talks Spanish, or they talk about skin color, or they talk about the car you drive, but yet they don't never say anything to your face. They never say how you're doing. How's your family? Are you feeling any better? How can we help you? And in this place, a place of praise, a place of worship, a place where God should be in control. Nobody mentions this man by his name. And the trap was set for Jesus. As Jesus is entering, he notices that he went into their synagogue. That's not something you need to pass over. He went into their synagogue. He went into their trap. He went into their mentality. He went into their field of expertise. You need to be aware that people talk about you. It's not because they have something against you, but you're going into their field. You're going into their mess. But I'm here to tell you that just like this man with the withered hand, you are not alone because there's a Jesus nearby. There's a Jesus with an answer. There's a Jesus with a purpose. There's a Jesus with deliverance. There's a Jesus with the word of power. There's a Jesus that will walk through the walls. A Jesus that will work a miracle. A Jesus that can quiet the storm. You're going into their house. You're going into their mess. But you are not alone. You are not forgotten. You are a precious child of God. You have been bought by the blood of the Lamb. No matter where you go, you could go into their valley of shadow of death. You could go into their lion's den. You can go and walk around their walls of Jericho. But it's not what is in front of you. It's who is inside of you. Jesus said, I know what you're going to do. Because I'm going into your mentality. I'm going into your lack of faith. I'm going into your lack of belief. I already have an understanding of the crowd I'm going to talk to. That's why when people are invited to speak at conferences, they say, who are the people going to be there? What are the demographics? Is it going to be young people, older people? Are you going to be people of different races? Here Matthew says he went into their synagogue. He went into their sin. He went into their law. He went into their limitation. Do you know what you're walking into every day? Or do you let the devil manipulate you? He knew what a synagogue was. He knew that the presence of God was not there. He knew that the presence was supposed to be on the altar in the temple, in the tabernacle. God never created a synagogue for his people. It was a place of debate. It was a place of judgment. And you need to understand what environment you're walking into. You cannot be surprised and say, why did this thing happen to me? Why did they talk to me about that? Do you know what you're walking into their place? It says, and entering into their place, we see that Jesus is automatically confronted. But even though he knew that it was their synagogue,
Y aunque él sabía que la
and even though there was going to be a confrontation,
y aunque iba a haber una confrontación,
he did not go with fear.
él no fue con temor.
You cannot live your life in fear,
No debemos vivir nuestras
wondering
vidas
what
en
people
temor,
are going to say,
pensando lo que las personas van a
what
decir,
people are going to
o
do.
pensando lo que las
You need to
personas
go
van a
in
hacer.
a confidence with Jesus that whatever needs to happen, He's already predestined before you were even in your mama's womb. Whatever needs to happen will happen in the name of God. So no matter if people don't think I'm going to be healed, and I don't care if people don't think that the judge is going to set me free. What needs to happen will happen, and I will walk in confidence. I will not walk in fear. I will fear no evil, wrote the psalmist David, because He is beside me. He did not hide from the confrontation. He went into their territory, into the place of opposition. And Jesus just began teaching like normal. And he began to see that even though there was a man with a shriveled hand, he was also able to see there was people who were fornicating. He also was able to see people that were lying, people that were cheating on their taxes. Matthew writes what the Pharisees wanted Jesus to see. But what they don't know is that Jesus can see everything. Jesus can see everything that was going on in their life. And I always find it interesting that the people that always point out your limitations, the people that always point out our shortcomings and our sins, to be honest with you, they're the ones that need Jesus more than you. Ye begin to understand that as much as the man with the shriveled hand had been set up in that place, there was a truth he needed to teach us so that we could preach it on this Sunday morning. God knows what He does certain things. God never does anything out of an accident. God doesn't do things because of luck. So get rid of your four-leaf clover. Stop believing that you can't walk under ladders, or be afraid of black pants, or not go on an elevator on the 13th floor. Your God is greater than any limitation. He is not afraid of anything and anybody. I said, I know there's priests. I know that there's rulers. I know that there's Pharisees. But what I do know is that no matter their title, they're short of the glory of God. No matter what they have, a car they drive, the home they live in, or even if they live in a cardboard box, we all have fallen short of the glory of God. We have all come into this place, not because it's a circumstance. We have all come to church, not because we want to hear a preaching, not because we want to hear the music. It's because we sinned this week and we need the forgiveness of God. If we ever forget that, then we become a place that we don't allow God to walk free in. He said, you may call it your synagogue. Maybe you call it your mess. But I'm still your God above everything. That you may think that I cannot fix things. Or that you say that if you perform this miracle, I will know that you are God. But your limitation, your lack of vision does not stop me from being God. And as he entered, he upset the religion. He upset everything that was going on in that place. He walked into a place knowing that he was not an ordinary man. He was more than just a good teacher.
Él sabía que era más
He was more than just a rabbi. He was more than just a Nazarite. He was more than just a man that would go healing people. He was more than just a traveling circus that everywhere he went, people surrounded him. He is, was, and forever will be the glory of God. He is the splendor. He is the Word that became flesh. He is the Word that said in the beginning. He is the God that reveals everything. He is El Shaddai Elohim. He is the God our banner. He is God our shield. He knows no defeat. He knows no limitation. Nothing that has ever been created, that has been seen or unseen, that even NASA has not taken pictures of in the space. God has created it all. It all is in His hands. And walking into their synagogue was not going to be fearful. Walking into their mess was not going to make him doubt who he is. The question to you and me is, what has God not done in our lives that we're still afraid of people, that we're still afraid of circumstance, you're still afraid of the dark, you're afraid to correct your children, you're afraid to walk into a job and apply even though you have all the qualifications. What has God not done for you? He has done things we have never imagined. He has done amazing, wonderful things. And He said, I am not going to allow myself to be concerned that I'm going to upset a few people. He said, I don't care if they get mad at me. I don't care if they offend them. Because that is the reality about truth. Truth in itself excludes all lies. You need to understand that. The truth of God excludes darkness. Even though people want to make you believe that love is love, that sin is all sin, and that we all can find the path to our own truth. Last time I checked in the mirror, I'm still a liar. Last time I checked in the mirror, I'm still not perfect. And there's no way I'm going to find truth in myself. But I know one who said, I am the way. I know one who said, I am the truth. I know one who said, I am the life. And anything outside of that is all just a bunch of noise. When we see this man with the withered hand, the Bible, the way it describes it originally, we see that this man was not born with this condition. In other healings of Jesus, people always wonder that if a personal disability or limitation was because of the sin of their parents, but this is not mentioned in this particular passage. This is a man that was not born with a condition, but it was something that came out of an accident, an injury. We don't know if he had a stroke, but something happened that made his hand immobile. The muscles were not able to move. And because the muscles were not able to move, they began to waste away. They began to shrivel up. And the pain was too great. And so instead of extending his hand, instead of moving his hand freely, he just kept it close to himself so that he wouldn't re-injure it, so that he wouldn't harm it, so that people would not judge him for it. And so he just kept it close. I wonder how many things we keep close to our hearts.
¿Y qué cosas tenemos nosotros cerca de
Because
nuestros
we're afraid of
corazones?
people knowing what we have
Y no
hiding.
queremos las personas que sepan que estamos escondidos.
You may call it a shriveled hand,
Tal vez lo llamamos una mano seca,
but God calls it your heart.
pero Dios nos llama a nuestros
You have not
corazones.
moved
hoy.
that muscle to love people in a long time.
No has movido ese
You
músculo
have
para
shriveled
amar a
up your
alguien.
heart to judge people.
Hemos secado
You have
nuestros
shriveled up your heart
corazones
filled with
Hemos
resentment.
secado nuestros
You have
corazones
shriveled your heart
resentimiento.
filled with anxiety. You have filled so much worry. There are so many thoughts bouncing inside your head that God cannot even penetrate between your ears. We are just like this man with a shriveled hand.
Con su mano seca.
We have shriveled past.
Tenemos los pasados nuestros que son secos.
We have shriveled memories.
Memorias.
We have shriveled trauma.
Y tenemos traumas.
And we're afraid to deal with the issue.
Y tenemos temor de tratar con
Because
eso.
if I expose it,
Porque si yo lo expongo,
it could hurt me.
me puede doler más.
Because if I expose it,
Porque si yo lo demuestro,
it may not work.
ya no va a trabajar.
And what's the point of doing something if it's not going to work?
¿Y por qué va a hacer algo si no va a trabajar?
What's the point of forgiving somebody if they're not going to change?
A alguien si no quieren cambiar.
What is the purpose of coming to
¿Cuál es
church
el propósito de ir a la iglesia?
if God's not going to heal me?
Si Dios no ya no va a sanar.
And now we begin to see
Y comenzamos a ver
that it's not a man with a shriveled hand,
que no es un hombre con una mano seca,
but it's a synagogue with a shriveled faith.
pero es la sinagoga con su fe seca.
If God were to walk in this place,
Si Dios entrara en este lugar,
we would say, maybe God needs to heal somebody because I know they're going through cancer.
tal vez decimos, Dios tiene que sanar a alguien porque está pasando por
I
cáncer.
see that their hair is falling
Yo
out.
miro que ya no tiene cabello,
But what would happen
pero ¿qué sucediera?
if God were to walk past that
Si
person
Dios pasara de esa persona,
and began to deal with all of us
es
instead?
mejor tratara con todos
He
nosotros.
said, you put a man with a shriveled hand.
Pusimos un hombre con una mano
But you
seca,
understand that I came for all of you.
pero vino de todos.
I came for all of you.
Digo, yo vine por todos.
All of you have
Por
shriveled
todos.
something in your
Tenemos
heart.
algo seco en nuestro
All of
corazón.
you have dry
Todos
places.
tenemos algo seco.
All of you are hiding
Todos estamos
something.
escondiendo algo.
All of you are ashamed of something.
Todos tenemos
Maybe you're
vergüenza de
ashamed
algo.
of your daughter
Tal vez es sus
and
hijos.
who they married. Maybe you're ashamed of your son because they never graduated. Maybe you're ashamed of a grandchild because they're rebellious. God is looking in this house and He's looking and searching and wanting to expose what you've been hiding with your praise, what you've been hiding with your worship. You want to raise your hands to God, but you know that deep down inside, you feel that He has not answered that prayer. Deep down inside,
dentro de ti,
you're still angry with God
estás enojado con Dios.
because He showed up too late.
Él llegó muy tarde.
You feel like Mary and Martha.
Decidimos como
We
Marta
said
y
word to you, Jesus.
Jesús.
Why do you come
¿Por
now?
qué vienes ahora?
He's been dead for 4 days. We already signed the divorce papers. The bank already took hold of our home. Why do you come
¿Por
now?
qué vienes ahora?
Maybe
Tal vez
you have never gone through situations like that.
no hemos pasado esas situaciones.
And I'm sorry for wasting your time.
Y perdón por
But I think that God really wants to expose us
nos quiere exponer
to the reality
a la realidad
that you can be in the right place
que debemos estar en el lugar
and
correcto
still have
y
limitations.
todavía tener limitaciones.
You can look just like everybody else,
Vemos como otras personas,
but you are still hurting inside.
pero todavía tenemos dolor dentro de nosotros.
And they have the nerve to say to Jesus,
Todavía tenían el coraje, el valor para decirle a
is
Jesús,
it lawful to heal on the Sabbath?
le preguntaron, ¿es lícito curar en el sábado?
They say, but the law of Moses
Pero digo, por la ley de Moisés,
it says that we must rest.
que tenemos que descansar.
We cannot do any work.
No podemos trabajar.
We cannot do anything, even though we want to help
No
people.
podemos hacer nada, aunque no queremos ayudar a las personas.
And what I find ironic,
Lo que encuentro bien
what I
irónico,
find
lo que
interesting,
encuentro bien
is that they're
interesante,
trying to debate the law of Moses
quieren debatir la ley de
with the
Moisés,
one that said,
con aquel que
Moses,
dijo,
Moses, take off your sandals, because the place you stand on is holy ground. They're trying to debate the law of Moses with the one who gave the law to Moses. You need to understand that we're not here to debate the truth of God. He is real whether you accept Him or not. He is King of Kings whether you accept Him or not. He is the Savior of the world whether you decide to go to hell or decide to go to heaven. Nothing changes about God. So stop debating whether God is real. Stop debating whether His glory is real. He is alive just like you and I are alive. He breathes just like you and I breathe.
respira como nosotros respiramos.
But we find people here today debating the reality of God.
Pero encontramos aquí
If you can prove to me that God is real,
Si quieres
if you can prove to me that the Bible is accurate,
Si quieres demostrarme que la palabra de Dios es de verdad,
you know something that will blow your mind?
algo que nos debe de despertar.
Did you ever know that the first pregnancy
El primer embarazo
was never Eve?
no fue Eva,
The first pregnancy was Adam.
el primer embarazo fue
The
Adán.
Bible says that He created both male and female.
Dice que creó hombre
And
y
He
mujer
pulled the woman out of
y
Adam.
sacó la mujer de Adán.
I thank God that we don't do babies anymore as men.
Gracias a Dios.
I'm glad that was the first and last pregnancy
Gracias que fue
ever.
el primer y el último.
But you find people that are debating all these things that are so irrational.
Pero hay gente que debate
You
esas
were
cosas.
debating people whether women should wear skirts and the
Sí,
length of
debaten
their
si
skirts,
deben de vestir
or
con
whether
sus
men should
pantalones,
sit on one side of the
o
church.
hombres tienen que estarse
That
sentados
does
en
not
una
matter if you're
parte,
going to
eso no
hell.
importa. Si nos
What
vamos
matters
al
is that you have
infierno,
Christ
no
living
importa que tenemos
inside of
Cristo en
you.
nosotros.
That He is the Lord of your life. That He is Savior of the world.
Salvador de este mundo.
And they began to argue all these things.
Ellos comenzaron a debatir todas esas cosas.
Even Moses said, what am I going to tell the people?
Moisés dijo que le vas a decir a la
When
persona.
they asked who sent me,
Dijo, ¿quién me mandó?
he said, I am
Dijo, yo
who
soy.
I am.
El yo soy.
I sent you.
Ese fue el que te mandó.
That I am who I am
El yo soy.
is
el
what's
yo
got
soy.
you sitting on that chair
Es
today.
que está sentado.
It's that I am who I am.
El yo soy,
He's the one that's got you breathing
Es el que
today.
tienes
It's that I am who I am. It's that God's the one that gave you a job that you have today. The I am who I am is the one that blessed you to have the children you have today. Don't ever dare to debate the goodness of God. Don't allow your environment, don't allow your circumstance, however how most short and moment it may be,
O que tampoco de momento puede ser.
to determine a long-term decision about your faith.
Para determinar una decisión de tu fe.
And he says to them,
Y les dice,
you are debating the law of Moses.
están debatiendo la ley de Moisés.
You're wondering whether it's permissible to heal a man on a Saturday.
Están hablando si Dios puede sanar un hombre el sábado.
But what you don't understand
Pero lo que no entienden,
is that in order for you to trap me,
para que ustedes me agarren,
you're breaking your own laws.
están quebrando sus propias leyes.
Because usually a person with any sort of limitation
Porque una persona con limitaciones
was not allowed in the temple.
no fue permitido entrar a la
Any
sinagoga.
person with any sort of
Una
limitation
persona con limitación
was not allowed to be in the presence of the Word of
no
God.
puede entrar a la presencia de
You
la
want
palabra
to
de
catch me
Dios.
whether I should heal on the Sabbath
Ustedes me preguntan, ¿debo de sanar
while
el
you're
sábado?
still breaking your
Pero
own
ustedes quiebran
laws.
la ley de ustedes mismos.
Don't you find it interesting
No es interesante.
that we say, God, give me financial
Dios,
prosperity
deme prosperidad
so I can
financiera,
get out of this
para yo
mess?
salir de ese problema.
And yet we still find people that lie on their
Y
taxes.
todavía hay personas que son engañosos.
You want God to break the laws of
Queremos que
nature.
Dios quiebra la ley de naturaleza,
and the laws of the supernatural,
las leyes del sobrenatural,
while we continue to sin.
pero nosotros seguimos en nuestros pecados.
These men had wanted to trap Jesus
Estos hombres querían agarrar a Jesús
by breaking their own laws themselves
para quebrar sus propias
of who
leyes
was allowed to come into the place of
de quién
worship.
pudo entrar al lugar de adoración.
And Jesus
Y Jesús
begins to teach them
comienza a hablar
that you think that the law of the Sabbath is great.
que la ley del sábado es grande.
You think that the law of Moses is above everything else.
Piensa que la ley de Moisés está sobre todas las cosas.
But if you remember in Genesis 2 verse 2,
Pero Génesis 2:2
it says, on the seventh day, God finished his work.
dice que en el sábado Dios terminó todo su trabajo.
And on the seventh day,
Y en el séptimo día,
he created something that had never been created
Él
before.
creó algo que jamás estaba.
It was never an eight-legged antelope.
No fue un animal diferente con
It
ocho piernas.
wasn't a three-headed person.
No era otra persona diferente.
What he created on
Lo
the
que creó
seventh day, on the Shabbat,
en el Shabbat, en el séptimo
is
día,
called Shalom.
es Shalom.
He created a
Él
peace.
creó paz.
He created a peace that the universe had never experienced. In the beginning, the earth was void. The earth was formless. And by the seventh day, once that God had put all the stars, once that God had put all the planets, once God had populated all the plants, all the animals, all the birds, and all the people, he said, even though you think I have finished my work, my greatest work is about to happen, because I'm going to establish an eternity of peace. I'm going to establish a shalom that has never been experienced before. You want to limit God because of the law of Moses, but there's a law greater than the law of Moses, which is the peace of God. And God will always fight for you to have peace. Whether it's the law of Moses, whether it's the law of a government, whether it's the law of a job, whether it's the law of any agency, the law of God is greater than those things. And you need to fight for your peace. Even though people say you're not the right person, even though people say you have this limitation, I love the fact that a God was willing to walk in the middle of a synagogue, in the middle of a bunch of sinners, and said, my law is greater than your law. My law of peace surpasses any other law in this place. And as long as there's somebody without peace, every other law is void. Every other law ceases to exist because the Shabbat Shalom of God takes precedent over any other law. You need to understand that the Shalom is completeness. Shalom is fullness. Shalom is perfectness. Shalom is prosperity. Shalom is my safety. Shalom is my health. Shalom is my absence of any agitation that causes me distress. So whatever is bothering you today, I'm here to tell you that God is not here to rest. God is here to fight for his peace. And he will not rest till you have your peace. He will not rest till you get what you've been asking of God. So if today you need something major of God, more than just lifting your right hand, just like the man of the withered hand, where my hand is dry, the hand of God is a symbol of power. Where my hand is weak, The shalom hand of God is my protection. Where my hand is dry, the shalom is the presence of God. Where my hand is withered, I need the saving power of my Lord. Where my hand is defeat, I need the right hand of victory of God. What they didn't understand is that at this synagogue, heaven and earth were about to meet again. Just like the same peace that walked in the Garden of Eden, Jesus, the Messiah, walked in with a greater peace. And what amazes me about this healing is that the man never asked to be healed. He never asked for it. He's probably thinking to himself, I hope he doesn't find me. I hope he doesn't point me out. I hope he doesn't call me to the front of the church. But what Jesus was able to determine is that they had put this innocent man like a lamb before the slaughter. He recognized the faith of the man.
Reconoció la fe del hombre.
Just like the woman with the issue of blood.
Como la mujer que estaba sanando.
She never said anything to Jesus.
Ella no dijo nada a Jesús.
She never asked for him to heal her.
Ella no le pidió, Jesús, hágame.
All she did was to fight for her healing.
Pelear por su sanidad.
And you need to understand is that sometimes you don't need to fight like the woman of the issue of the blood. You don't need to be pushing people. You don't need to be kicking people. You don't need to be moving people. Just sometimes standing there and being quiet and holding your peace is a greater battle than you could ever imagine. I'm sure this man could have easily told Jesus how they all had tricked him, how they all had lied to him, how they were about to make a spectacle of him. But he just kept quiet. And he said, my faith will talk louder than my shouting. Jesus recognizes faith. And even though you don't have the strength to pray, even though you don't have the ability to bend on your knees, you have a God that will descend wherever you are and talk to you and walk with you and say, you are my son or daughter. The faith of this man spoke louder than the accusations of the Pharisees. The faith of this man spoke louder than all the teachers in that place. The faith of this man moved the heart of God to heal him. If you were to have the faith of the size of a seed of mustard, you would tell the mountain to move, and it will move. That mountain for that man was not just a withered hand. It's that people never thought that God could ever touch him. He never thought that the mountain was going to be. That they thought that God would never take opportunity to talk to him. Sometimes we name the wrong mountains after the wrong things. You may call it racism, you may call it prejudice. But God calls it, I need your faith. Because if you move with your faith, I will move anything else. I will move synagogue. I will move Pharisees. I will move the law of Moses myself. There's nothing that I cannot do, as I am Lord of everything. So when you come to God, you're coming to God with the confidence that whatever you are needing of the Lord, whatever is being criticized of you, whatever people say you're never able going to do, there's a God who is willing to work miracles as long as you trust Him. There's a God here who's willing to do the impossible, even though the devil may not like it, even though the demons will get mad, even though all these strong men
que los hombres
will get
fuertes
all upset.
se pueden enojar,
I have good news.
estoy aquí para decirles,
God will restore you again. Because that is what Shabbat Shalom is. It's the restoration of peace. It's the healing of peace. I will bring everything into balance. Things that were out of whack. Things that were messed up in your life. I will begin to change them. I will begin to move them. And just like in one day I created peace, I can bring peace today to your house. I can bring salvation into your house. I can bring healing. I bring deliverance. Whatever you need of God, He is in this place. We recently just purchased a little dog. And yesterday we had somebody come and teach us how to deal with the dog.
Alguien vino a enseñarnos cómo enseñarle al perro.
And she was very good.
Y la muchacha fue muy buena.
And I thought, man, it's going to take hours. And within 5 minutes, she's just getting to do all these things. The dog is like, woo. I'm like, wow, it's the most amazing dog I've ever seen. But as I was talking to her afterwards, she said something very interesting. She said, I train all kinds of dogs. I train dogs for agility. And I'm also training my own dog for scents.
Y también estoy entrenando a mi perro para huela los diferentes olores.
And then she's training her dog to be able to determine what's a pine tree, what's an elm tree.
¿Qué tipo de árbol?
Much more than I would ever pay for my dog. But she was going like that, and I said, "Oh, are you doing it to do like search and rescue?
Yo le dije, lo estás tratando para rescatar a personas.
You know, when there's an earthquake or there's a collapse of a building, they send dogs to see if there's any survivors."
Para ver si hay alguien vivo.
And she said, "No, I'm only training it for scent."
Lo solo estoy enseñando para que huele.
Because I could never train my own dog
Porque no puedo entrenar a mi propio
to go into
perro
a burning building
para entrar a un edificio
to
que se
rescue
queme,
people
para rescatar a alguien
and the risk of him dying.
y que ese perro se muere.
And yet,
Y todavía
you have a God
tenemos un
that
Dios
sent His only
que
begotten
mandó su
Son,
único hijo,
not to rescue from a burning
no para
building,
rescatar,
but to rescue you from hell itself. He did not send a dog. He didn't send a prophet. He didn't send an angel or an archangel. He sent His only begotten Son. And yet here we still are arguing with His goodness. We're arguing with His mercy. We're arguing about His love. We're arguing about His acceptance. We're arguing about a bunch of foolish things.
por cosas que no valen la pena.
And God is saying, I just came to bring you
Y
peace.
Dios dice, yo solo vine para traerte paz.
I thank God
Le doy gracias a Dios
that the law of peace was greater than the law of Moses.
que la ley de la paz fue más grande que la ley de Moisés.
Because the Bible says that He was crucified and died on a Friday.
La palabra dice que fue crucificado un viernes
And He rose from the dead on a Sunday.
y resucitó un domingo,
What was the day in between?
que era el día y medio,
Shabbat Shalom.
el día Shabbat
And
Shalom.
that day,
En ese día,
He descended to the gates of
Él
hell.
fue hasta el
And He
infierno.
took the keys of death
Tomó las
for
llaves
you
del
and
infierno
me.
para ti.
You have a God that does not preach it in public, but behind the scenes, He is going down to hell itself and saying, no more leukemia, no more cancer, no more addiction, no more financial problems. He is going on Shabbat Shalom and said, I will go to hell itself. That's what David said. Even if I go to the depths of
Si voy a
hell,
las valles de la sombra
you
de muerte,
are
tú
there.
estás ahí.
You have a God
Tenemos un Dios
that will stop at nothing
que no parará nada
to save you.
para salvar.
You have a God that will stop
Tenemos
at
un Dios
nothing
que no parará
to
nada
give you
para
peace.
darte paz.
Question is,
La pregunta es,
are you too busy debating the practicality of God
¿tú
doing?
estás pasando demasiado tiempo peleándola, practicando.
God, I want a new house.
Dios, quiero casa nueva.
But can we afford the movers?
Pero puedo pagarle la
And can
persona
afford
para cambiar la
this?
casa.
And
No
can
pagar
afford...
esto.
We begin to debate
Comenzamos
too many
a
things.
debatir tantas cosas.
Either you want it or you don't.
¿Lo queremos o no lo queremos?
It's up to you to decide.
Es de ti para decidir.
And you don't have to say it publicly. You don't have to walk up to the front. Just like that man.
Así como
He
ese hombre.
desired in his heart.
Él deseaba en su corazón.
And God said, I will make you whole.
Dios dijo que te voy a hacer lleno una vez más.
What's empty in your life?
Que está vacío en tu vida.
The presence of God that we felt during the praise and worship.
La presencia que sentimos
It's
en
the
la
same
alabanza de
presence
Dios.
that's in this
De la
place right
presencia que
now.
está en este momento.
He is moving.
Él
He
está
is
aquí.
walking.
Él está
And He
caminando.
is searching.
Él está aquí.
Do you have the ability to be honest
Él está aquí para ser, estamos aquí para ser
and
honestos.
say, Lord, I need to be healed?
Si Dios, estoy listo para ser sano.
There's an area of my life, hay una área de mi vida que está seca. Hay una área de mi vida que está corta. Hay una área de mi vida que está inmóvil. Hay una área de mi vida, Señor, que está inútil. Yo sé que me la has dado por un propósito, Dios, pero yo no lo puedo mover. Yo no puedo hacer que este niño me haga atención. Yo no puedo hacer que esa niña me respete. Pero hay algo de Dios que se está moviendo en este lugar. La presencia de Dios está aquí. You may say, well, Lord, I don't know how to deal with this child. They're too rebellious. I feel useless. I feel like they don't respect me. What if I offend that person? They no longer want to be my friend. God is here to make the impossible possible.
Amén, Señor, amén. Bendito Dios. Amén.
God is here.
Amén, gracias.
But the amazing thing is that God is not seeking to establish shalom just on a Shabbat, on a Saturday. But God wants to establish His peace forever. You need the peace of God every day, every night, every meal, every drive, every moment you go to school. You need the peace of God in everything. Praise the name of the Lord.
Quiero compartir algo.
I want to share in the Spirit with us things with you.
Yo sentí en mi espíritu cuando se estaba predicando esta
When the
palabra
word was being preached, I felt in the Spirit
que la mano seca de ese hombre fue su mano derecha,
that the right hand of this man was the withered hand.
porque la mano derecha significa poder y
Because the
autoridad.
right hand means power and authority of God.
La pregunta es esta:
The question becomes this.
en la sinagoga solo había un hombre con mano seca,
In the synagogue, there appeared to be just one man with a withered hand.
pero ahora
But today,
hay congregaciones enteras
we
con mano
have
seca.
full churches with withered hands.
Comenzando de uno de pastor.
Beginning with myself as leader and pastor.
La mano está seca.
The hand may be dry.
Cuando usted ora y ora y ora y pone mano por alguien
When you lay hands and pray over and over for people,
y no pasa el
and the
milagro,
miracle does not occur.
no se rompen ataduras.
The stronghold is not broken.
Más que solo pedir oración por su problema y su necesidad,
More than just asking for prayer for your problem and your need.
Dios quiere restaurarle a usted su
God wants to
autoridad
restore
y
the
poder
power and
sobre el diablo y el
authority
demonio.
that needs to flow out of your hand.
Quiere ahora que usted extienda su mano seca.
And God wants you to extend that right hand
Él quiere decirle a usted ahora,
to tell you again,
así como uso yo al pastor,
just like you used the pastor,
te voy a mostrar que te voy a usar a ti
I can
en
use
tu
you as
propio
well
problema.
in the midst of your issue.
Amén. Amén. Amén.
Este es un llamado para extender nuestra mano
This is a
seca.
calling to extend yourself.
Esta mano seca tiene que extenderse ahora
This right hand needs to be stretched out today.
para que tengamos poder y autoridad
Power and authority needs to
contra todo lo
flow
que venga contra nuestra
for everything
familia,
that you face on a daily
contra todo lo
basis.
que venga contra nosotros,
Everything that comes against us and our
en
family.
el nombre poderoso.
In the name of Jesus.
Nos vamos a poner de pie, hermano.
Let us all stand.
Yo quiero orar para que el Señor extienda esa mano
I want to
seca
praise the so that God will extend a dried, withered hand.
para que esa fe vuelva a tomar el lugar que le
So that
corresponde,
faith will begin to flow in that shriveled
para que
hand.
usted se ubique en el lugar de la
So
gloria
that
de
you will
Dios.
find yourself in the place of the glory of God.
Y a partir de ahora,
And starting today,
usted mire que ya esa mano
you
ya no
will
es débil,
see that we can
que ya esa mano ya al ponerla,
strong and
aún en la
powerful.
dolencia de su
Even
cuerpo,
in the midst of the pain on your
aún donde
body,
usted esté enfermo,
even when you are sick at this
usted va a
moment,
sentir
you will begin to
que Dios va a
feel
derramar fuego,
the outpouring of
va a
God's
derramar la unción
fire,
de Él.
the anointing of the
Y
Lord,
usted mismo,
that you
en su
yourself,
oración,
in your own
va a
prayer,
experimentar la
will
sanidad que
experience
necesita.
the healing
Va a
that you've
recibir el
been seeking.
milagro que
Receive
necesita.
the miracle you've been searching
Padre, en el
for.
nombre de Jesús,
Father, in the name of Jesus,
extiende ahora esta mano
extend this
seca,
hand,
Señor,
this withered hand.
para que a partir de ahora
So starting at this moment,
podamos movernos de gloria en
we
gloria,
can move from glory unto
con
glory,
autoridad y
from
poder,
authority and authority.
y que cada vez que pongamos nuestras manos
And that every time we lay our
en
hands,
cualquier parte que
in
esté enferma de
whatever
nuestro
part that
cuerpo,
our body is sick,
el milagro va a
the
suceder.
miracle will
Y cuando
occur.
oremos por otro,
That we pray for
ya
others.
no oraremos con manos
We will
secas,
not pray with one
porque
hand.
a través de nuestra mano
Because through our
tú vas a
hands,
soltar la
you will
unción,
release the
tú vas a soltar el
anointing.
poder,
You will release
tú
the
vas a soltar la
power.
autoridad.
Release
A partir
authority.
de ahora
Starting
vamos a ser
today,
un pueblo
be a
diferente.
different
Todo hombre
people.
fuerte será echado fuera.
Everything that has been
Vamos a
bound us will be
romper
cast
ataduras
out.
en tu
Break
nombre. Y lo que
strongholds.
atemos, Señor,
And whatever we
en la
bind
tierra
on
será
earth
atado en
shall be
los
bound
cielos.
in
Y lo que
heaven.
desatemos en los
And
cielos
whatever is unleashed
será
in
desatado en la tierra.
be unleashed on
En el
earth.
nombre de Jesús
In
de
the
Nazaret.
name of Jesus.
Ay, santo. Shabbat. Levante su mano enferma.
Lift up your sickly hand.
Levante su mano derecha.
Lift up your right hand.
Y diga, Señor,
And say, Lord,
gracias por restaurar en mi vida
thank you for restoring once again
el poder y la
the
autoridad
power and authority
que yo necesito
that I was so needing
en tu santo nombre
in your holy name
para obtener la
to
victoria
have the victory
cada vez que venga el diablo y su
every
demonio
time the
contra
devil
mí.
and his demons come against me.
De ahora en adelante
That from now on, Lord,
no seré yo el que va a huir,
it will not be me who
sino que
flees,
serán las fuerzas
but
del
it'll be the
infierno
force of hell
las que
itself
van a huir,
that will retreat and go
porque verán
back.
en mí
They will notice in
un
me
creyente diferente,
a different
un
believer,
creyente
a
que
believer
va a atar y echar
that
fuera
will cast out and
todo
throw
lo que
out
venga.
anything that comes.
Gracias, Jesús.
Thank you, Jesus.
Gracias, Jesús.
Thank you, Jesus.
Gracias, Jesús.
Thank
Gracias,
you,
Jesús.
Jesus.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Let us sing this song and we stop praising His name.